Hi, my name is Regina Poliet. I'm the Diabetic Care and Education Specialist, and we're doing this video to kind of help talk about Diabetes Month. I have my friend here, Laura Selby, who's a registered dietitian at St. John County Memorial Hospital, and she's going to talk to us today about reading food labels and hidden sugars. Laura, can you give us some input?
Sure will, Regine. So one of the things that I notice in seeing clients about their diabetes is they may not realize that the FDA has updated the food label and they've now added sugar into that.
Which is a lot more obvious, and we do like that.
Right, because one of the messages is the difference between naturally occurring sugar, such as fruit or maybe oats or sweet potatoes as a naturally occurring sugar, and separating that out from what they're adding, to actually create some sweetness profile in the food.
Good point, because I hear a lot of talk about added sugar and things. Can you help kind of explain that?
So there's a lot of different added sugars. So you may not be able to look at the ingredients of the food and determine, oh, that is a sugar, because there's so many different types of added sugar that you'll find in the ingredients. So if we can't identify that just by reading the label, then we can look at the grams of added sugar, that's in there. So let me give you some ideas of this, and I want to start with oatmeal. So we can purchase oatmeal in many different formats. One of the examples that I'll use today is obviously plain oatmeal versus flavored oatmeal, and how these two might compare to each other when we're looking at added sugar. So oatmeal is just inherently a carbohydrate, so it's going to give us natural sugar. So it would be fine to buy oatmeal in any of its forms plain.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But let's look at the difference when we buy a flavored oatmeal and how the sugar might be different. So what we're going to do is, if we look at the food label, the number one thing you want to look at is the serving size. That's the very first thing you want to look at.
Oh, good point.
So in this case, it's just going to be a packet.
Okay.
But if we were to buy something like steel cut oats or old-fashioned oats, it would tell us there what the serving size is supposed to be. So in this case, it's just going to be one packet. So what you'll do is you'll scroll down the label to where it shows you added sugar, and don't confuse that by what's called total sugars. Okay, so total sugars listed is the naturally occurring sugar plus and the added sugar. Okay. So just below that total sugar on the label, you're going to see added sugar. Okay. So find that on your label first and foremost, and what we're going to find differently between the plain and the flavored is actually 8 grams of added sugar.
That seems like a lot.
And actually, when you look at the packet, that's really not going to be much volume. So I always want the biggest bang for my buck. So what is going to give me the most volume of food for the least amount of sugar? That's what personally I'm going for. So I could get a heck of a lot less sugar by volume using a plain versus a flavored. So the other piece of information that we can note about the added sugar is for every 4 grams of added sugar, that equals or equates to 1 teaspoon.
So this one actually has 2 extra in here. I see.
2 teaspoons in that little packet. So then you ask yourself, if I was to make this oatmeal myself, and let's say the alternative might be using plain oatmeal, whether it's steel cut or rolled oats or whatever it may be, and I added my own flavorings. So this might be blueberries, this might be vanilla, maybe some cinnamon, to flavor that myself. I'm still adding 0 added sugar.
Nice.
By doing that. So I'm saving myself a whole 2 teaspoons of sugar. Yeah. So the key number is, I always show everybody this. I don't know if we can, I should probably put this up on the video because I don't know how well it shows there. But 4 grams of the added sugar equals 1 teaspoon of sugar. So the neat thing is each of these little packets is a teaspoon. So we've got this also showing in comparison here with something like yogurt. So there's, oh my gosh, so many. It is.
Yeah.
Very common breakfast, very common snack. But have you gone to the store lately and you see all these options
Yes.
of yogurt?
And these little ones that are in glass containers that they look so cute.
Yes, but when you really drill down and look at the added sugar, they're not all made the same, are they? So we can do the Greek yogurt, and that gives you a little more protein, okay? But in general, if you just want to look at how much added sugar is in any of your yogurts, do the same thing to where you look always at the serving size, because what if you buy it in a larger container versus, a single serving? But it'll tell you the serving size, and then just scroll on down to added sugar, and then figure out how many teaspoons would that be for every 4 grams as a teaspoon. So in this case, we're comparing these 2 yogurts, and
same size.
Yep, same size. This one actually has 0 grams of added sugar.
Okay.
Okay. This one actually has 9 grams of added sugar.
Oh, wow.
9 grams of added, which is equivalent to 2 teaspoons.
Yeah, that's.
And so when you look at the volume again of that, like, wow, I'm putting 2 teaspoons in that volume, right? So for someone who has diabetes, what that can do is raise the blood sugar pretty quickly, right? Which is kind of what we're wanting to avoid.
Right.
So, you can still enjoy these foods, but be smart with your choice at the store, all right?
So a lot of people struggle with breakfast, and I hear them talk about, I'll just do a protein bar. Can you talk to us about that?
Good question. Okay, because when it comes to protein bars, one thing I look at is really the cost, right? There's a wide range of cost when it comes to protein bars, and why are you using it? Are you using it for an athletic recovery, or are you using it just as a breakfast, right? So it's a little different based on why. Why would you want this? But something simple.
Just using it for a breakfast because I'm so busy and
Just like a
wanna
breakfast
go.
or a snack or something like that. I'm glad you asked, because I actually did bring a sample of that.
Okay.
So these 2 are comparison. They're more of a granola bar type,
Okay.
but they're protein granola, which is a very commonly found type of bar in any grocery store that you go to. So 2 different brands here. And again, comparing those, if we look at the added sugar, this one here has 8 grams of added sugar, which equates to 2 teaspoons in a bar, right? So again, it's like, how big is that bar? We're looking at quantity. And then this other one, actually here, the other brand is 5 grams of added sugar, which is 1 teaspoon.
So less may be a better choice.
Yeah, right. So sometimes it's just learning that little piece of information, so when you're in the store, you can easily make that choice on your own right then and there.
And then that way you don't get, I like that because it kind of highlights just the added sugar.
Right.
Without getting sidetracked.
Because some of these protein bars, they'll have added nuts, which brings carbohydrates to them, right? So we want to separate out that naturally occurring carbohydrate versus an added sugar.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. What other things do you have for us?
So I brought some simple, just things that are obviously sugar, okay? Like, yes, I'm going to eat some cookies, and I know there's sugar in there. I may not think there's sugar in a granola bar, or I may not think there's sugar in yogurt, but I know if I ate cookies, I know I'm eating sugar. So just this little pack right? So,
Oh, and that is small.
you know, again, quantity. So this here has 11 grams of added sugar in it, which is about 3 teaspoons of sugar. So I have it here in this little container. So, you know, is that worth it? You know, so then, okay, so I talk about portion control. So if somebody was like, man, I really wanted that cookie, maybe now I'm only gonna eat 2. So that's
As
how,
opposed to that whole packet.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Now, I do spend some time talking to my patients about drinks and calories in drinks, specifically sugar in drinks.
Oh my
Can
goodness.
you bring that up?
So this particular drink is just a sort of a regular soda. And you know, people do drink a lot of soda, but the amount of added sugar equates to just 16 teaspoons, which is 1/3 of a cup of sugar.
Wow.
Yes.
Somehow when I see it like this, it's just a little scarier
Yes.
than when I look at it in this way. So
Yes,
good point.
and it, you know, there's different types of sugar, right? So one might argue, like the sugar that I'm showing you is sugar, right? The sugar that's in here isn't actually sugar; it's a type. It's more like high fructose corn syrup. So we can even drill down there, you know, in a different conversation. But you know, these different sugars can do different things in the body, and high fructose corn syrup is really not very healthy for our liver and other things. So that's another reason why you would avoid that.
And what do you have here?
Okay, so this is great. I love this example because I'm sure everybody has heard, you know, drink green tea. It's very healthy for you, and it is. I love green tea. It's very healthy for the liver. So one might go to the store and just buy green tea straight off the shelf.
And not look.
Not look. But if I look at this label, it says how much?
35 grams of added sugar.
Yes, in one bottle. Well, that equates to, what is it, 8 3/4 teaspoons. So let's round it up and say 9 teaspoons of sugar in this green tea. So
And suddenly it's not healthy.
yes.
Yeah.
So we can't assume. We have to be super careful and investigate on these labels. And that kind of brings me back around to like just having candy. There is 15 grams of added sugar, which is 4 teaspoons in this. Actually, the serving size is only 1/3 of the packet.
Oh.
Little tricky, huh?
That is, because you kind of think it's the whole packet.
So the serving size says 1/3 of the packet. So if I ate the whole thing, now I'm getting 12,
I see.
which is
Yeah.
pretty much like drinking any of
So
these.
that's how sometimes when you look at it and you think, oh, this isn't bad, but you do always have to go back to looking at serving size.
Yes, huge lesson there for sure. And then I guess the last piece that I will bring to everyone's attention is just the marketing message, that we have to be really careful with how companies market to us. So that brings up the cauliflower pizza. Okay, so cauliflower pizza is a big hit. Cauliflower
They are vegetables.
is a vegetable. Cauliflower is really good for us,
That's
you know,
right.
so we could be tricked into this. And I have 2 examples here, Regina, if you want to hold one. So when we go to the store and we look at these, again, we have to compare because they're not all made the same.
Okay.
So one of these pizzas is flavored barbecue, which that should be clue number 1, is looking at the description. Okay, so barbecue number 1 would tell me that there's sugar added likely. Whereas this one is just a plain cheese, okay? So if we look at that label, so first of all, you might just go home with this and think you're doing a good thing for yourself.
Right, it says cauliflower.
It says cauliflower. Okay, so number 1 is we look at the serving size.
Okay.
Okay, and it is going to be 1/4 of the pizza, just
Correct.
for 1/4.
That's this one too.
And so the added sugar in yours is the barbecue. What does your added sugar say?
11 added sugars to the barbecue one.
And that's in 1/4 of the pizza. Like, I might be hungry after eating 1/4 of a cauliflower pizza. Do you think you would be? So
Honestly, probably so. So we have to kind of really watch this. And it's interesting because the calories are the same.
yes, in mine, I have 1 gram of added sugar. You know, so one might argue like that, okay, that might be okay. I still have to look at the carbohydrates, let me point out, right? Like, that's still an
Yeah.
important thing to look at, but at least we know it's not that added sugar in my example here. But yes, the
Right, this
calories.
is 11.
Yes, so now that equates to 3 teaspoons of sugar
Wow.
in just 1/4 of that. So, you know, somebody might eat the whole pizza, right? So that would be, again, 12.
12 of these.
Yes, added in. Yeah,
Well, thank you. This has been very informative.
absolutely. I just feel like, you know, when people go to the store, they have to be able to, when they're selecting their food, they have to be able to read the label at the moment, because what they buy and they bring home, that's what they're going to be eating. So rather than us saying, eat this, eat that, like, I want you to have the tools to be able to do that yourself in the store.
So I can make my own choices on what I like, just try to do it wisely.
True. Very, very good point.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.